said don't do it, I said bop, bop, bop. Yeah, my boy said don't do it, I said bop. Yeah, my boy said don't do it, I said bop. I can't keep up, play follow the leader. Big queso, I'm born with the ether, but I still take a heater. No halo, I've been with a handgun, I've been on the King Kong, come back low. I've been on, what? Check my pedigree, I got legacy in my pop. You playing hopscotch, I'm at top notch on the block. Swimming slide like me, nah. Spice it up with the sauce. Yeah, my Lord said don't do it, I said what? Check my pedigree, I got legacy in my pop. You playing hopscotch, I'm at top notch on the block. Swimming slide like me, nah. Chillin' with the sauce. Yeah, my Lord said don't do it, I said what?
The playoff dreams might be over for Koi and Gentlemates, but the championship points can still potentially make a big difference down the line. So this game is still very, very important for them, which means the map pool are also equally important. And they, so far, doesn't seem too strange.
Then banning that Ascend, now they go into the Lotus, they've done it in the past, and against a team like Koi that has picked this map a lot, it makes a lot of sense. They decide to go for Split, a map that neither of these teams have played, and I think that Icebox, Billy, it was compulsory to see in this best of three.
Yeah, I have to agree. I think looking at this veto as well, it's kind of difficult to judge what way Movistar Koi are kind of going to go in. We've only really seen the 4 maps from them this stage so far, so we could argue that they still have a couple of tricks up their sleeve. But yeah, I think when it gets to that fracture, for me, that will be the interesting point, because Gentlemates, of course, had that OT loss against Foot, and this is a map that Movistar Koi played in kickoff and haven't decided to play it in stage 1.
And I think that Gentlemates, if we get to that third map, have a huge chance of redeeming themselves, because it was that fracture that you're mentioning against Foot that went to a very long overtime, and they weren't able to close. And ever since, they have not been able to win a single map.
And this is a point. We have never had a team in VCT EMEA that didn't win a map for the entire season. You might think, oh, maybe KC back in the days, Koi, etc., etc. They at least won a map or a match. So I want to make sure that Koi do that today. Could it be Split? Who knows? Because honestly, I didn't mind the comp. I really, really did not mind the comp. How did you guys feel?
I don't mind the comp either. I think that for them it's a little bit more of comfort, and I think that if there is a map that they could win, is that Icebox. That's why I think that that's the way we could get to Fracture.
Yeah, I think so. I think coming into this split though, we are going to see Click on that Yoru. Okay, that's interesting that they've decided to switch that up there, and I wonder if it is a confidence thing. I mean, Click hasn't been performing in the best sort of way. We kind of saw him perform well in kickoff and then kind of fell off a little bit throughout stage 1. So yeah, I wonder if that's a comfort thing or what the thought process is here by having him on that Yoru.
We have been promised in the past by Gentlemates that Click is going to have one of those stellar performances. It could be today, you know, ending the season on a high could be very determinant for their mental coming into the rest of the year.
I don't know why they're allergic to double duelists. Would have been fun to see one of those here, but we're not going to get that. Now, they casted every single round of the longest VCT game in EMEA history. Yesterday, they've hydrated, they are back, they have emotionally recovered, and they've agreed to do it all over again. So send this over. I'm going to send this over to your casters, Mitch and Tom. Take it away.
Thank you very much, Insu. Give me 48 rounds of Kadavra right now.
Say, all over again. She's first talked about, oh, the Koi, I'm making sure Koi get a victory. Doing it all over again. Like I'm starting to think that Sue might be the one writing this script, but we'll have to wait and see.
I don't know whether she wrote it or whether she's reading off it, but promising a long game here today. And look, both of these teams, they may not have playoffs to play for, but they certainly have pride on the line. For Movistar Koi, even a map here would be a step in the right direction. For Gentlemates, they're going to look to squash this team, beat them into the dirt, and starting out on Split. Excited to kick this one off, Tom. A lot of positives to look at. And I think certainly on the Gentlemates side, expectation-wise, is it a 2-0?
Well, considering the opposing team is yet to win a single map, you'd say statistically yes, but I do think going into this there's a good opportunity for Koi. Like realistically, all pressure is off. I think with rumors there's very much potential. We don't see this roster in this form once again, so I think we've seen them get very close to winning maps and then sort of choked out on them. So I have hopes, and also going into a map where last time out Click was 0 and 8 in opening duels. So we'll have to wait and see if he has a slightly better performance here today.
Lots to keep an eye on for Gentlemates. You've seen the birthday buff. It's McQuanker's birthday. And of course, although he's not on the server, hitting those shots, maybe those inspirational words from the birthday boy will help them out along the way. For Movistar KOI, defensive start on split. Icebox is their pick, so they chose the side. We'll see if they can put up the rounds here on split. Already, there's been a bit of a pump fake from Gentlemates. Pressure towards this A site. The drone's going to spot one towards the top of ramp, but the idea is to take the spike back to middle and contest there. With 3 players rotated into heaven, Movistar KOI have left B a little bit lighter and puts a lot of pressure on Flya to keep this mid control.
Yeah, he saw the last one.
They'll even
So
have
there's at least some information. Soulcast's in a pretty solid position, looking to try and hold the line. First goes his way, second as well for Soulcast. Kicking things off with a bang and looking for a little bit more. He's going to run out of bullets though, but he's bought a lot of time. 17 seconds, making their way to site. Flyers in the way, he got there in the end, and well, the clock is all but gone, and Mini falls as well. KOI, they're on the board, they're kicking things off well. Let's just end it here.
Yeah, 1-0.
There we go, done.
Off to Icebox.
We're going to offset yesterday's map, and we'll just...
It's like you were saying, Sue's trying to rig the result. Looks like you're doing much the same.
You know,
what's that about?
I'd like KOI to get a map.
That's what I. A step in the right direction.
And they're both out, so I'm allowed to be biased.
A step in the right direction with a pistol round under their belt. And now the investment, it's going to be a heavy investment indeed. Flya, who's playing around mid with a Judge, and the rest of the squad, well, Philo, I suppose, on the Marshall, everybody else with Bulldogs to play with. It does mean that the margin for error is very low. You don't want to see players going down to these pistols. At least to start, Philo's able to make it out of that initial utility dump. And a good spray through the smoke's going to catch Zipan.
Expectation here for mates is nothing. They've not invested into this round at all, saving purely for the buy round. Philu doesn't have the best position for a Marshall, but I've said that before, and he still managed to get a couple, and then Grabinho is there to clean up the mess. What they've lost really isn't much at all. It's just that Marshall is the lowest value weapon, and they'll keep everything else going forward. A very good start for Movistar KOI. And something I kind of want to touch on a little bit is I'm a little bit surprised by the map choices. If you go off previous results, both of these teams weren't particularly good. A 6-13 defeat versus Liquid, and a 5-13 defeat versus Liquid. So I guess that one extra round was enough for Gentlemates to think, oh, this is our map.
Well, you know, you lose or you learn, right? Investment coming back through from Movistar KOI is going to be onto an Outlaw, having lost themselves a Marshall. Grabinho, the one to take that for the B hold. And a decent bit of potential if they can land some damage early, but Gentlemates have gone full shields, of course. It's a very healthy investment.
Warning shot.
Going out.
Oh, I won't pose that big of a danger. Player in mid-gate crashes out, but
he didn't see the judge.
Seen Flya. Huge opportunity for that Viper to do some damage late round.
If it's just the control that's held. Click. His opening duel statistics don't seem to be improving, as he has fallen once again. And in this round, it's much more of a problem. Rotation already in thick and fast with that sniper set up on B. 3 players now ready and waiting over on this A site. There's not really much of a surprise here from Gentlemates.
Grenade is live.
They're very much ready and waiting for this push to come through. Let's see if the weaponry disadvantage plays a role. The Bulldogs
30 seconds.
up against the Vandals that are in play on the other side, and they're cutting through them with ease, it seems. The decoy used, but not to great effect. Damage done onto Mini at least, and with man advantage still held, this is going to be a tough site push. Whether they even know the rotations have come through, that there's so many players. Okay, Breach utility goes out, 12 seconds. They've dropped Breach, don't know about Solkas. They found him just in time. The plant will come through, and well, Gentlemates bailed out of a bad situation because of those picks.
It seemed like that was a really good opportunity. Now Zipan's late lurk leaves it all onto Grabinho. Mitch's favorite gun in hand.
2 of them one shot.
Just like Mitch, this probably isn't going to work.
Well, Grabinho's looking to make it a bit more palatable after the first, but that was Kamek. Needed a headshot onto him. 150 health keeps him alive. Stop smiling, Tom. I don't like that.
You really wanted that to work.
I really did.
That's so bad.
I really did. I was rooting for him there. I was about to put on a KOI jersey myself. 2-1.
Well, you've been on the watch party, so you're basically halfway there.
Yeah.
Although I don't think you're very popular over there.
No, well, listen, I've redeemed my reputation a little bit, I suppose. They enjoyed my Spanish skills. Can't debut them here, unfortunately.
Well, yeah, especially because our producer is Spanish and would know exactly what you're saying. You can't get away with it.
Alberto's in my ear. But 2-1. That was a decent attempt, though, from Movistar Koi. Good damage done. The bigger investment in round 2 gives them decent weaponry for the next. The Outlaw managed to put a few dents in Gentlemate's economy for this one, as they have to invest pretty deep. And light shields with damage on Zipan as well. Light shields for Mini. That's Gravino in with a chance if he spots either of those players early on, because they brought the Outlaw back into action.
Out goes Little Bud again, just in case. No one taking the chance after Durka's shenanigans at kickoff, so just making sure they haven't got too much ground. It's very slow and tempered from the side of Gentlemates. Trying to just take control across the map, work for space and see if they can find any aggressive positioning, but there really isn't much. Other than maybe A main, you could argue. Flyers off angle here, could be a nasty surprise. Not quite connecting the shot though.
There's an opening duel for Click on the attack. Nice to see. Zipan with the trade keeps numbers in their favor. Here comes the Outlaw swinging in, and it's Zipan shutting him down at 2v3, and the defender's off site. A free plan to be attained from here. Is it going to be an aggressive post plan? I'm already looking at Zipan. He's up nice and close, and he has support as well. They go for that deep swing and hammer home the victory. Now for Filu, he could even decide to just save this weapon through to the next. 1v3 is not looking likely. No one's tagged low, and Zipan, we know on the Movistar Koi side, you just hit tab, you know that he's got his ultimate, but we can even see salvos are online. There's a stun for Kamek, and they've reset into that, well, I say passive post plan. That's not quite passive, and it's not like he needs orbs either, but I guess Zipan's just feeling confident.
Yeah, and that's a good sign. Like, you look back to the series he played last week versus BBL, 10 and 36 across the series. So had a very, very rough time. And we've seen that a few times. I believe there was a map as well where Mini got only 2 kills. Like, these stars that we've sort of talked about on this mates roster that they've slowly been building, at times have just gone completely missing. So I think a map that Zipan's always been particularly comfortable on. You think back to FPX, Navi, this was one of their strong suits, and him picking up the Teo
Nice Ponto!
gets him that little bit more aggressive. And 6 and 2, he's already 4 kills away from the entire series of last week.
That's not a great metric, really, is it? The bar...
He's improved.
The bar
That's a good thing.
Hopefully set a little higher than last week. Well, now a very weak investment from Movistar Koi. Of course, they've got themselves the Vandal saved through by Filu. The rest of the squad, though, just on pistols. Something tells me this could be a little bit of a bumpy ride for Gentlemates. Movistar Koi, always a team that show up when you count them out historically, and well, this is one of those rounds where I would count them out.
Well, they also seem to show up when they are statistically out.
They're gone. Yeah. Tournament life gone, and they're
not when you count them out, when they are out. They're normally a bane of a lot of people's lives, so we'll see if that is the case. I'll say as well, whenever I see a one-shot gun in Solcast's hands, I feel like he's at least going to get one. Like a Guardian, I think the Sheriff fits the bill as well. Always had very good first bullet accuracy, and it seems like he might come under some pressure here. 2 players sat outside A, vents being taken. I think they just heard the steps. They have just heard them running through the spawn, and because of that, I think they're a little bit more hesitant of which direction they're going, and in fact, they are now heading towards B.
Yeah, again, it's going to be a pump fake. Utility thrown into A, keeping those players in position. The orb taken by Gravino here as he steps back out. Cadden is holding him from up top. Survives the first blast, at least. But he's completely surrounded. No way out. Deep push from Click. It's a risk up against pistols.
Opening kill.
But it's an opening pick, exactly.
Clean as well.
Playing for the stats. Minnie's got him held in here. Gravino eventually falls, and a big play towards the spawn. The rifle on Filu, though, the one that you've got to watch out for. Solkas pops the head of Click.
Called it.
Rifle goes to Shados. The question here comes down to damage. Well, I mean, now they've got 2 rifles as well. You can just go and save them. And that's exactly what they're going to do.
Yeah, chances of winning a 2 versus 4, even with the upgraded weaponry, it's almost 0. Especially with an open plant like that on B, you'd have to clear all of heaven and everything else in between. So They have just decided, hold on to the guns. It's a little bit of bonus cash going forward. Maybe if they want to get an operator in. We've already seen them run an outlaw on Grabinho. And hey, Kamik's even going to help them out a little bit going down to the spike.
Always nice to get a helping hand. 2-3. Early game sees a timeout from Movistar Koi. Not happy with how things have gone so far. You win the pistol, the follow-up, and then there's a few bumps in the road. But more importantly, you're coming into a round where important ults are coming online for Gentlemates. Some are already there. The same can be said for Movistar Koi with 3 ultis, 2 of which can be used in decent combination with Philo and Sulcus. Dimensional Drift going through to find the information. And the Armageddon rain down hell upon them. We'll see what coaching staff has up their sleeve for this one. So far, it feels like, at least once those rifles come out, the confidence is sky high for these Mates players. You're seeing Click find those opening duels. You're seeing these deeper approaches to post-plants, pre-plants as well, with Kick pushing into spawn in the last round. That overconfidence is something that certain teams will be able to punish quite easily.
Yeah, and I also say as well, for Mates, they're probably one of the few teams that has been eliminated that can actually feel like they were within a chance. Like, they lost multiple maps in, like, I think it was like 14-12, 14-12. They lost one 18-16. Like, they were a squad that had some very, very close games. I will say, after they lost in overtime, every second map they got smashed. Like, that happened pretty much every time. I think maybe the mental side of things is something they need to work on a little bit more. But you're going to come into this series actually looking at this as, okay, we can get a champs point. That might help us going forward. I think for Movistar Koi, as I said, with rumors that are going around, there's going to be some more drastic changes. So it's a very different outlook for these two squads. Some maybe wanting to display the value they can still bring, and others maybe looking at where they'll go next.
It's always dangerous to play in vents when you're up against that salvo combo, but luckily there is that gate crash to fall back to. If the util found its way into Filu, it's Click running through an orb. I think he was vulnerable too. Still finds himself the pick. It is answered back on by Flya at least, but yeah, indeed, that was through a snake bite and an orb. Look how low Click is even after the decay fades away. That's a ballsy play, and I think again feeds into that point that they are feeling massively confident.
Grabinho under pressure. Rolling Thunder going through as well. I'm surprised they don't do the combination the other way around.
Yeah, together.
Yeah, either at the same time or you Rolling Thunder and then do it behind so that it hits a stun player. But I guess just wanting to make sure the entirety of the site was clear, maybe catch anybody who pushed forward instead. Now they have to deal with the ultimate on the other side, but Mini has just deleted a couple of players. The star power of the IGL shining through once again, and once more for Grabinho, the first man on the site. The man running away from it. It is not what they were looking for. And I want to touch back on what I mentioned earlier. Click, when playing the Raze, was 0-8 in opening duels. I think right now he might be like 3-1. Like, he's had a really good start to this game. And we haven't seen this guy anywhere near the potential I think we expected. So even if this is just like, okay, this is a confidence mover, this is me proving how good I can be, I think that has its value as well.
Oh, 100%. Just to build him up as an individual. And like we're saying, the overconfidence perhaps early on, what's not being punished. The fact that a man just ran through a snakebite orb with a player holding from inside a vent, that flash I don't think even caught him. No, it didn't. And he still wins the duel. That is just phenomenal. Now, a little overeager perhaps from Kata, trying to take the heaven control. They're pincering that aggression. Oh, that is nasty. Get that again in slow motion. The headshot on the second too. That's what we like to see. All right, well, that's one way to motivate the boys. But yeah, for Movistar Koi, they just faced into a very weird setup. The fact that the ults are timed in the way they are to get Click the space on backside and maybe a fight up close. Grabinho falls back, players are pushing forward, but ults are keeping them back with the Rolling Thunder up into heaven. It was a big...
That stun didn't hit.
We talked about overconfidence. You see the stun not connect, still goes for the emergence from the Dimensional Drift. A very aggressive play indeed. I did not expect him to stick around, maybe to take a gate crash, maybe to get to cover before coming out, but well, it's been punished now.
I think that the stun was close, so maybe just a slight mystery, but also, I guess once your team commits, you just go, okay, I'm committing. I'm hopefully going to hit this shot and just take the risk. We see a lot of duelists at the moment taking some pretty hefty gambles when it comes to Yoru, so I'm not really too mad about that, but finding a response now in this round is not going to be easy. A 3 versus 5. They managed the entries on the B side, or sorry, on the A side last time out. And with Shados not isolated, but if a smoke goes down, might be left in a slightly more troublesome position. Counter salvos, though, will buy the additional time needed to get a third person to cover off that heaven position.
It's important. You can easily see the wrap back to B if there was a bit more time on the clock, but now 20 seconds as steps are heard in heaven. This is clearly an A committal. Boots on the ground, ready and waiting for the play to come through. It's Grabinho and Flya. Grabinho under pressure again, but look at the amount of backup he has. No way for that one to fall flat, really, unless Movistar KOI whiffed a lot of shots. Great read. Players there ahead of the push, and Gentlemates stalling out a little bit. And the other thing is, having committed so many of their ultimates in one of the previous rounds, they don't have a lot to fight back immediately with this. Whereas a bit of conservation coming out of Movistar KOI. They've got Fialu's Dimensional Drift for early info, and that Viper's Pit on both sides.
Solid round. I think this could also just be Gentlemates trying to be a bit disruptive after your opponents have taken a pause.
Yeah, for sure.
Here's Fialu. Lucky to still be standing. 26 health. Viper's Pit blocking off B. A lot of the time you'll see that placed into middle. Not allow for those splits to be anywhere near as easy. Instead, though, holding on to B main. It has been a pretty contentious part of the map so far, but, well, there's no surprise there's going to be a response into mid.
Mates completely abandoning that. You know as well, Fly's being the guy up and around heaven. Salvo sent through. They're down below, though, so safe up top is Grabinho. Solkas with a challenge on his hands, and he delivers! Steps up to the plate for a double. Chance now for a little bit more with the reposition of Fialu. The operator, though, 2 players swinging him quickly. No, in fact, they're separated, and the gate crash to just get out of there. A valuable pick. Now double the numbers and an idea of where the spike was heading. So Fialu sticks around, sights on that choke point, and an easy trade-off.
Easy spot for Canada to try and fight back from. 30 seconds. He can now teleport into the B site, which is the plan.
Grabinho's close.
He's got to be very careful. Steps will be heard. He's going to try and bait Grabinho into the fight, and Grabinho just goes swinging. That's not worked out at all. Turning it into a 1 versus 2, but that time really is low. 14 seconds. Needs to get the plant in. Flyer is nearby, but I'm hoping won't make the same mistakes as a teammate once did. He does give the 1v1 duel, but this time lands the shot.
I think Kata had to make a more aggressive play there. The 2v1, they can easily play off each other. You've got the op coming back through and Fialu with an ult to try to find him if they needed the extra information. So getting ahead of it, especially though in the 1v3. That first shot, nasty. Click must have already been low, but Kata
yeah, he got hit by an operator.
Well, he did. Legged up. It was nice work to close this one out in the end. And you saw a sigh of relief from the coaching staff after the previous round, but now connecting 2 in a row. Little bit of a heater from Movistar KOI early on.
It does still make me a bit nervous that the 3v1 was ultimately still just 1v1.
Well, yeah.
Like that.
I don't mind Grabinho, though, because he can cancel the plant there. He can win the round. A lot of the time, Kata's just going to stick that.
Maybe.
Maybe if it was anyone
I think he was too far away, though, if he'd stuck it. At least for the early fight. I don't know. I'd rather them just confirm the round.
Yeah.
They gave him the one sort of opportunity he had to take it. And then the same thing from Flyer as well. All in all, job got done. Now we look back at the credits, really thinning out for Gentlemates. In fact, Kata already down to a Guardian, although that might be more by choice. He does have a few extra credits left in the bank. Viper's Pit, all they have available. And yeah, versus the Dimensional Drift, it's not quite as valuable an ult as you might think.
It's time to take space for Gentlemates, but look at Solkas. He's crept his way through. Somehow doesn't connect the kill. Zipan survives and Mini punishes before it gets out of hand. The re-peek from Shados. It is
Let's go for 3.
1v1 battles. One by one they're peeking, one by one they're falling, and coming down ramp it looks like the same thing. Grabinho miles ahead, and he'll lose the fight. No trade possible.
4 for 4.
It's not what we like to see. They're grouped up a little bit. The snake bite separates them. And look at the damage done.
We put
Kata
the
and
X's
Zipan
all in a line.
so
please.
desperately low. They're saving. They're calling the run back, but the thing is, mates have already read that. They're starting to wrap around. Click's got a lot of space towards heaven. He's hearing them run down bottom mid. And that's the, oh, well, Kamek's got to get his weapon out very soon. That's a bit of a mistake.
Guys, I think we should swing a ramp. I've got an idea. Definitely not gone to plan. And hoping that each individual player could catch a timing. Yeah, they are literally right next to each other. That's the first, or that's two of them, and then one was obviously the third, Gravidio, a little bit further down the ramp, but yeah, disjointed from Koi, and well, fool me once, shame on me. I don't know what happens when you get to the third.
No, like, especially we saw the rotation come through, and I can understand you had one player, Filu, with an AWP holding up top, waiting for the peek further deeper into main that probably would come off the back of that initial fight. Now, if your guy on ramp wins that battle, you might get 2 picks out of that situation. You could be back to a 3v3, but again, you wait a couple extra seconds, your third player's there. He can go down ramp with you. You can look for the trade together and have that all posted. And more so the first 2 fights. The individual swings were a big mistake that got punished immediately. Snakebite to slow, but Kata's already passed it. They're looking to get aggressive in heaven. Obviously, Koi have a setup for it, though. Paranoia is good. No way out for Click. He's caught, but Kata swings through. Almost catches Grabinho through the smoke. That's a good return. Numbers back to equal footing, but Filu with the AWP. He's got a good position. He's got cover from Grabinho as well, and the ult's going to be used just to spot out these final players.
He's using it to retreat, but he's kind of left Grabinho behind. He'll at least keep that man advantage going, and more importantly, the space that has been guarded. Mini, though, from above, we know how deadly this guy can be! A quick double, and even spots out Filu! This guy's crosshair placement is literally perfect. Wonderful stuff from Mini once again.
That's a nice closeout to the round. But taking a look back in the replay, you can see decent setup to start with. Kata taking the trade up top. Oh, I was waiting to see the actual dimensional drift activated. Because like you said, Tom, it did leave his teammates in a bit of an awkward spot. He is just hightailing it.
It was Grabinho gets the first 2 kills.
Let's go,
and then he's like,
guys.
You're doing all right on your own. I'm just going to leave. I'll see you later. But I guess it's just the operator in that scenario, if they're coming from above, you are dead. Like, the chance of you hitting that flick, so he tries to reposition, but it kind of maybe seems that maybe communication was off a little bit.
And Grabinho's coming in like, I've got your back. I'll be there with you. Wait, where are you? Where'd you go? Well, Movistar Koi pushing mid early on, getting aggressive on the defensive side, and it's netted them an opening pick. Cadaver the one to fall. Those smokes now pretty much out of the game. It's just the orb that can be positioned by Mini and the wall that he's already put down. He's looking to take an opening pick for themselves. The walk into sight is risky. No one's spotting it, but there's a breach just there, just seeing them. Oh no, the utility came out from Shados. That is a disaster. They have just contacted into the A site, and Movistar Koi took heaven control, fought down to ramp, but it's almost worse for Filu. He's surrounded now. Players can come from both sides. He finds one, but it's traded out. Click grabs one on site, and it's a 3v1. Early aggression was great, Tom, but that gap that they left on A so quickly exploited by Gentlemates. I'm at a loss for words on that.
Out, and there is the round close. Yeah, I think the only people, or the only way that Gentlemates were stunned in that round was the fact that the stun went through and they go, I think he's there. There's someone on site. How have we managed to get this far? But again, it just seems like a lapse in communication in those moments where you have a guy Heaven who's not watching main at all. You have a guy Sight who's not watching main at all.
Behind ticket.
The guy, that's what I mean. They literally turned at that moment and go, he's just let off a stun from the site.
Think about how long he wasn't holding that angle for. What was he doing? I mean, prepping a stun, sure, but you can have a
that's what I mean. I feel like it must then be miscommunication that he thinks the guy Heaven is watching to call for a stun, and then he's the same the other way around.
That's disastrous.
Well, not gone to plan, but they have got the opening pick in this round. Filu, he gets one on one side, he gets one on the other. He's literally got a kill on each extremity. That's the duelist you want, the quick switch-ups. And what, the TP? Oh, got worried for a second, but this time the sight hold from Shados has worked out. And that is the spike in the corner of the site.
It was an audacious play, but Kata probably assumed that Shados would have a stun out the whole time. So fair enough. He found out that he's found his #1 on the keyboard, his primary equip. Final round, so ults are going to be thrown at this, and a decent read of where Mini might be. On the step forward, he knows that's a clone behind him, finds the first, fly it down. Rolling Thunder, though, that's going to end the round surely. Shados hot on his tail, and will land himself another kill to close out the half. 7-5, a tight one to start us out here on Split. Movistar KOI, they've done well, winning the pistol and sprinkling a few more rounds throughout. Let's see how their attack side goes.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see if Movistar KOI are going to be able to turn this at times. They have definitely been within this map. We'll have to wait and see until after the break.
Ничего личного, Вайка. Такая работа.
Welcome back, 7-5, a tight game between the two. A few mistakes on both sides starting us out. We'll see who manages to heat up towards the end of this map as we're starting on Split. Gentlemates pick Icebox up next. That's where KOI wanted to take the battle, Tom. 5 rounds on the side that Movistar KOI decided to start on. Do you think it's enough?
Not really, no. I would be surprised if they're able to do it. Like, especially versus Liquid, I feel like they really struggled going into the attack. I'm glad to see that at least like Filu has had his moments, and I think that if I'm being optimistic, he can be the sort of guy that could take over some of these rounds. But we'll have to wait and see.
What if you're being pessimistic?
Then the opposite. Then they're gonna lose. There you go.
They're gonna be the ones that give the rounds away. Is that what you're saying?
Exactly.
All right. Okay. Well, starting out, Click opening duels tracker not looking good. He's been dropped off rip, dealt with towards that A site. The aggression leaves them with a vacuum of info. Big burst from Movistar KOI as the B side is overtaken. The lurk from Flya. Well, listen, it's gonna be a while before that finds value. But a thorn in their side. You can already see mates clearing deep into mid. They're looking for him, knowing that Flya is going to be late to the party. Flya is on his way around through the spawn. So that's going to be for the later stage. It's Filu with the challenge up close, and the Classic's doing decent damage, but he got there ahead of the Paranoia. The players keen to take that fight, but look at the flank. Finally coming through. They forgot about him, and they certainly shouldn't have. Flya with the triple, and the round quickly falls into Movistar KOI's hands as a result.
Yeah, I believe that's both pistols as well, going in their direction. So getting off to strong starts in the half, but it was in the majority of buy rounds where they definitely struggled that little bit more. I'm also thinking back, like I remember the early rounds of the game and talking about Click getting opening kills. I think literally, what, 3 of his 4 kills are opening duels, and then everything else he's just been wrecked.
Yep, pretty much. 3 opening duels, 5 lost as well. But
I think he got was he 6 and 16 last time he played Split. So,
and it was a good start that saw a lot of confidence as well. Like those weren't just standard picks. Those weren't even picks where your opponent's making mistakes. He was running through snake bites and poison orbs. But again, like we said, this is something that you can look at as confidence. But at what point does it become overconfidence? And I think we hit that point with him then being more consistently punished here in the pistol round just a second ago. You saw the same thing. He goes out aggressive. There is utility to back him up, but he loses the fight. And that leaves them in a pretty tough position with the instant pulse out onto the B site from Movistar KOI.
I think they've got far enough with no resistance that they're starting to read into the idea that there's nobody here.
It's a B stack, a mid stack.
And that is wrong. There are 4 players currently waiting. Zipan's position is going to be cleared out, but there is currently a smoke down. That's going to get pushed completely. The Flyer already managing an opener. Now, there really isn't much to play with. Zipan's going to try and take the angle. His teammate was just in, but he's been ruined as well. And what started as a stack now becomes just 2 players with classics. It seems like not much being invested whatsoever. And while Mini will at least do it for the bundle.
Yeah, and it's key how quickly Movistar KOI make that read, right? They're not flooding into the space after the opening or even the second pick. Because once they realize there's a guy here, he's been playing super slow, second dude in the corner, it must be a stack up. There must be a trap that they were waiting to spring, and the first guy was a scout to see if they needed an early rotation. So they avoid the trap, springing on their opponents instead, and minimal losses, 7-7, tying up the scoreline as well. But this is what we saw in the first half. They found the first 2, and then it was a streak of rounds once rifles fell into the hands of Gentlemates. We'll see if that's going to be the same now that Movistar KOI are on the attack. We talked about investments, and it's a decent one.
Oh.
1% pistol win rate. Well, they are doing a lot better.
Does that include today? Because if it does, that's crazy.
I'm guessing that's
probably
not.
Probably not, right?
I would assume so.
If you add in a couple from today, I guess it's only 1 map, but yeah, that isn't great.
So last time around, we had mates with a very heavy investment. It was a judge as well. The one downside here for Movistar KOI is they've got a ghost, but it is still that very healthy buy. And perhaps the ghost is even an upside because it's 1 less weapon that they can lose. It's an extra margin for error coming into a round like this where mates will be swinging for the fences. Now, a lot of presence taken for free. And this is because Zipan is waiting for the push up, but the drone spots him, but dealing with him seems to be another thing entirely. Filu at least able to shut him down. The flash well placed, but click right on his case. Return by Flya though, and this is getting very scary for Gentlemates. Not only the players they've lost, but weapons potentially retrieved.
Yeah, there's the upgrade, but just before, Kamik will be able to clear one. Grabinho homed in towards heaven, knowing that's the real point of danger. Ultimate's not particularly close. He's hit a ding, but for, I think, like 40 damage. It's done next to nothing onto the player above. Luckily for mates.
Spike planted.
And you'd think that in this moment, both players would be isolated to the side, but it's not the case. Grabinho's already on the wraparound back towards heaven. Soulcast doesn't really have a way out of here, but he's going to try and just sell the ruse, try and keep all eyes in this direction. And, well, they've used the Aftershock to clear him, but then they haven't kept an eye on the spot. That's given a free battle for him to find on the other side. And they still have absolutely no idea what one of the players is. That's Grabinho. But now he has to try and make a move. Smoke onto the spike. Spam coming in. He's walked into the spam. That's definitely a problem. A mistake for the side of mates. And just on the other side, they've got dancing around each other. Grabinho's going to win with a Red Bull clutch. And I'll be honest with you, I don't really know how.
That is one round beyond explanation. I'd love to see a telestrator on that one. Really break it down.
I would like Billy to do it. I think it's a Billy
telestrator. We're already requesting it. Clip it and ship it.
She's going to beat us up.
Yeah. We're going to be in trouble after this one.
That door's going to swing off the hinges in a second.
And what an insane round. The fact that you have salvos online for Solkas, he takes the fight here, loses it, and we're into a 1v2 that somehow he catches the first player running through the smoke. The spams miss him.
Running into the spam.
Yeah. Right, exactly. He was still spraying. He must have been thinking that magazine's about to run dry, but no, he reloaded before the fight. Mates, this leaves them in a terrible position. They've got a couple of pistols, a Marshall, but a very weak investment from this defensive side. And the door, you're talking about it swinging wide open. Well, I think realistically it has on this map now for Movistar KOI. They were behind. It was looking unlikely, but the lead is theirs and the economy in their back is going to get stronger after this round, hopefully.
I think right now this is the equivalent of like cage fighting Valorant. It's going blow for blow fight. You a big fan of the mud fights?
That's how we warm up before every cast. That's how I've warmed up to this.
No, it's not me. Are you sure? Is that Paper Thin? Is Paper Thin sneaking into the building?
That's right, he does a great British accent.
Just for the mud fight, so that he leaves again. Oh. Well, there goes Felu.
Oh,
and the second Canis managed to find 2 with a ghost.
2 players TPing in?
30 seconds left.
Against, they know it's a low buy, right? They do know that.
He's have a decent idea. He's now got a rifle as well. He was the weaker weaponry, and it's a chance for Canis. He comes out with 4. That's a pay safeguard, Thrifty. And both rounds have just gone back and forth.
So back to the mud fight. I mean, I think it's a fair assessment. What in the world was that? Salvo sent in a small gap for you to play around. A flash pop that blinds him. Oh, come on! That is just messy. Kana didn't even get blinded fully. He dodged it. It played against Felu, and Grabinho says, I'll follow that up. You were the starter, I'll be the main course, and he eats them up for dessert. Akata, you're so good. Yes, very well played, but also, what were you thinking? On Movistar Koi, well, that is 8-8 and an advantage thrown away.
Well, it's been a back and forth. Definitely not my favorite back and forth I've ever seen. But things have happened. The scoreline's level.
That's a fair assessment.
Both teams coming in with a bye.
Yep.
Ready, Koi. Taking some early space into middle. There hasn't really been much of a contest other than the B aggression.
All missiles away.
Currently coming out from Click with the operator. It's a lot of map control that he's able to hold on to. Come on, unless they're going to go back and clear it very late. I have a feeling this almost telegraphs itself as a bit of an A hit.
Light munition.
Okay, Zipan, good for 1. That stun is perfect, but unfortunately there was a second player there.
HP.
Grabinho bought extra shields, I guess. I don't know how he survived that onslaught. Kamek, it's an easy fight onto Felu. No one's there to follow him up either. They're so fragmented in the push out. Grabinho, 5 HP, but he'll survive with Kamek falling. Mini has the angle. Almost had the pick. It's Click to find that, but an immediate response that leaves Mini alone. He can isolate a fight on site, and he knows it, but he also knows the other player is going to be quick to run to his aid. And that leads to another isolated duel with the plant now coming in. That's going to put him in a box. Mini knows exactly where Shados is. Shados had a tough game so far. I love this, just hiding, waiting for his timing. He spotted him and he'll eliminate him with ease. Gentlemates, they fell behind, but they are right back into the lead. Movistar Koi stalling out, and that's a big investment as well, Tom. The economy put into that round. It's going to leave them in an awkward spot as their opponents steal that lead back.
The Red Bull clutch for Mini, and I have to say, like, of players that have sort of come up from the tier 2, I genuinely think he might be my favorite, and that's including, you've got players like Zeus, who has been phenomenal, Levin as well, we saw yesterday, but this guy's just so cerebral in the way he plays, and then taking up the mantle of the IGL while doing it.
I'm right there with you guys.
Yeah.
I'm right there with you.
Definitely a few frustrating rounds, I feel.
I would not want to be on the receiving end of this timeout from Movistar Koi. I think there's going to be a few notes. I think we might.
Can we bring back Dice? Can we bring him back? I need.
Mate, it's hard.
Please,
it's
guys,
hard
please.
No. This wouldn't be a please. This would be a stand up and shout till you get lightheaded. That's a tough situation.
Well, you know, I can think
Gorilla's
of
waving the hands.
I can think of a previous man from Koi who would do excellent in these scenarios.
Oh yeah.
There'd be a hole in the desk.
The desk would be lopsided at this point. His chair would have fallen over 6 different times.
I do miss the Baba reactions. I genuinely, that's one of my highlights of the entirety of last year, is just seeing, like, every time it cuts to him, he's the most emotive man. And then you talk to him, super chill.
Super chill.
Super
absolutely.
chill. It's like, it definitely doesn't leave that moment. Koi's... Okay, there you go. That is a stat.
That is a stat. That's
9-8. Mates. See, I don't even really want to say, like, I've got the lead back, because the rounds that
There's no telling how
both
this is
teams
gonna
have
go.
lost.
There is no, this is anyone's guess.
Okay, stun out.
See more predictable roulette wheels out there for Movistar Koi, but it's a weak investment. That's the one thing going for them. But if they can get onto a site, Viper's Pit to secure that late, to get that plant into a much more comfortable position. And they are putting pressure on A. All right, Flya, calm down. Kata's gone pushing. Kata's got his back to a player, and they've just seen it. Filu's got a freebie out of that.
I love the gate crash. It was almost like a bait, like,
He would have seen that go by and say, where's that coming from? Oh, goodness.
Kamek's responded once again.
The rolling
back
thunder.
into a 3v3. Oh, the cage fight continues.
He solo ulted them with a rolling thunder to get one pick, but at least it's Flya.
It slowed them down.
It slowed them down and got rid of the pit as well. That's something to write home about. Nice repeat from Kamek. He's got 3. He's got 4, in fact. And I think Mini's going to steal away the ace. This is the moment we truly get to see what kind of teammates you've got. Click going into the angle. He'll see him, and he calls in for Kamek. Beautiful teamwork.
Lovely.
A team-building exercise, and an ace for Kamek. Confidence sky high with double digits under Gentlemate's belt. With how that round started, of course it ends with an ace.
Yeah, I was going to say, like, in a lot of rounds like that, when your opponents have a bit of a low buy, you don't really get that excited about an ace, but it was actually needed. Like, the way that this round started off, well, can we cut to moments later? I don't know if I think the smiles might have faded quite quickly after that one, but yeah, definitely an important round for Kamek. And
but again, let's look at what's... Oh, I like this old committal. Flya's not safe, not by any means, and with Click coming through the smoke, there's no escape. Movistar Koi only sent him to A, though. It's going to be the push towards the B site from the majority of the members in a deep play. Coming in from Filu with the dimensional drift, but Click does the same. He's going to grab information now. Planters spotted, no one else. Where are they? They could be a main, but is the read there? Then it's a deep push into the spawn. Rolling Thunder! It's a huge mistake! Click flying under the radar! He's picked up 4! And although he'll be denied the ace, that's another big individual round from Gentlemates.
he died because the Rolling Thunder pushed him into the air.
Yep.
That's so funny. I don't think I've ever, because if he just sits in the corner, he's fine.
Ran into it.
That's great. I like that. I don't know if
replay of that.
Can we get the replay of him flying into the air and then dying in the back?
Here we go. Here we go.
I kind of want it from the other POV. Oh, that's fantastic.
Oh, he's managed that.
Everyone acing after each other, no?
That's a 4K. It's a 4. Don't get overexcited, all right?
You know,
Think
he
of that
could have
last-
had the ace.
Yeah,
He didn't
he
turn
lost the
around.
fight.
There you go. Misclick.
Misclick. I like that.
11 to 8. We've had some rounds.
Their rounds have happened, Tom, and I've witnessed them.
And their opponents went into that with 5 ultimates over on the Koi side. One of them got them the site, and one of them
lost them.
One of them helped Shados throw it back for for his opponent. Got themselves set up. The Armageddon. Ready, raring to go. Although info has definitely been had. And they have no map control. They are fully committed to A.
The beautiful thing is we talk a lot about the combination of Breach alongside your Teho. I think here the stun sent through, but the ult is that little bit late. It's given space. In fact, it's given fake information. Koi thought they were safe to take that fight, to TP deep into sight. Not only was Kamek there, but the ult left that little gap for the run-through coming in from Zipan. Now they've shut down a few players, and good space taken by the attackers, but where do they take it in the end? Where do they head towards? Because there's re-aggression from Kamek, and he's catching them coming back out of heaven. Luckily, Solkus has repositioned, has caught him off. Now, Kata
It's Kata's turn.
snuck into this little
30
corner.
seconds left.
4 players on their way. They've seen him right
Never
away.
mind.
Beautiful clearance by Solkus, and much needed.
Many deciding as well as the one player with low credits.
I would love to see that ult combo with, if we could get Shados on a Breach and Governor on the Teho on the same team. It would be an interesting, like, see which one, or how they complement each other.
I'm good. Honestly, I'm good.
Okay. We'll see. Maybe we'll do an All-Stars game at some point. Mini big frag in IGL. But
Yeah,
I
you know-
don't think
you know
he's going
what?
for this one. He's gonna just
We can do a
tank.
show match, and you get them two, and I'll...
You get free picks on the other side. I'll take that.
I'll choose... Yeah, I'll probably choose a few players from mates, if I'm honest. I think I'll take Mini, and that's all I need.
It's a solid shout. No, but it is one of the conversations
I'm
we've had.
four. I'll take floor as well. I think this sounds like a fair team, honestly. I think balance.
Okay. Once I get to decide your last two players, I think that's fair.
Honestly, with the two you've chosen, I think I'm good.
Oh, damn. All right. Well, you're throwing more shade than me. I'll take that. All flack the Tombiz. But a 2-round gap between these two, and we talked a lot about those Frag and IGLs throughout this season. Mini, I think, is one of my favorite. You mentioned him as, you know, one of the best players that's come up from that tier 2, but I think especially with the games they've had, he has just been a beacon of positivity, a shining light of hope on the Gentlemate side in so many of these rounds, not just in how they're playing, but also how he's playing as an individual.
I guess Kamek also somewhat fits that bill. We obviously had a preview in the league before, but this was the sort of first official pickup, and he's had some crazy good games on an individual level especially, and obviously made it all the way earlier in the year to Masters, so I don't think the pieces necessarily on the mate side are necessarily needing to be changed for them to fix things going into the next season. B-Loop taking on, that's the second time. Grabinho is just getting wrecked every time he tries to TP. While this B site take, yeah, it's been messy. It's been very messy.
You can look at it one of two ways, though. Like the last time, his Yoru had been decimated by his own flash on backside. So there wasn't much he could really do. But here, Filu's tucked in a corner and just lets his teammate die. Like, Grabinho thinks there's going to be some cover, but there isn't. And it's whether it's miscommunication or misplay from one or the other, the result is the same. It's a 5v2. Movistar Koi locked out of the site, 30 seconds on the clock, and I see Sulcus on the move. It looks like they're still going to commit to it. Economy not healthy on a bunch of players. The 2v5 not looking likely. I would like to see them save, certainly with 20 seconds left. I just see Sulcus getting more aggressive little by little.
Yeah, I guess he's finding a place to just tuck in something a little bit more unorthodox, but it's definitely a lot closer to the opponents than anywhere else on the map.
Well, if he gets 2 picks, what's going to happen? They still buy up, and if they lose a round, well, they won't be on.
Confidence.
Fair enough. Fair enough. That's what it's all about. Is the orbs also were quite far away, and that's another concern, right? Mate's now on 12, 3 chances to close it, and big ultimates on the way to coming online. They can have that rolling thunder for themselves, the dimensional drift on Quick, and that's been enough to secure rounds at times. Again, it just feels like a misread when they're going in. It feels like they think on Movistar Koi that they have a lot more space, or that Gentlemates have conceded a lot more space than they ever really have.
Yeah, I think also some of the time when we've seen the Teo utility go through, that spot is now clear, and a lot of the time mates are just moving into it the second they end. It's they did that earlier when we saw the Armageddon thrown in onto the A site. They went, okay, you put that there, I'm going to step out, and I'm going to go back to where I was. And there hasn't really been a lot of follow-up on the utility that they've been using, so obviously a bit more of a free-flowing game. Both teams already out of contention for playoffs.
I like that they're going back to mid. I think it's the right call here. They've embedded one player, getting past that one-way smoke that Kata put down. They know that's going to be more passively held. They need space elsewhere, and that's a lot of damage done. Actually, Fly a little more healthy than I expected. Yeah. That pick could still be used. Kata, though, is on him. Looking for one and only finding it. Zipan now on the site. So many times they've gone in here assuming the space to be free, but now they fight for it. The reward is plentiful. A 3 versus 2 post plant should be theirs.
Yeah, they'll get the post plant. I see Mini alive, and I still believe they're going to be able to take this one over the line. Click, looking for that first point of contact. A player up in heaven. Solcat's spot, one needing to be cleared, and more than ready for that swing to come through. At least a little bit of extra information for Mini, but it's not going to be happening. Solid hold from the side of Movistar Koi, just 2 away for taking us to overtime. Probably our first one of the week.
Oh yeah, I don't think there's been any or many OTs so far. And in fact, this is going to get a pause out of Gentlemates. They'll take a minute to gather themselves, and I think that is showing that a little bit of resurgence from Movistar Koi. Thing is, they haven't been able to connect 2 in a row just yet.
Does he have a birthday hat?
Good trade.
That's the real question.
Keep going. Keep going. Keep going. Nice. Keep going.
Just for reference, this is not
Yeah, the
time
players-
for pause.
Yeah. First of all, the players can't hear that. Second of all, that's not the pause. That would be a very strange line of motivation. All right, boys, keep going, keep going.
No, not
keep
even
going.
that. Nice trade. Like, just in a minute, simply, we're not even playing at the moment.
But to be honest, that is valid feedback at this point. I think the big difference between Movistar Koi putting up rounds and them not is those trades. We've seen them in so many rounds. It's painful. Get the advantage even, and then throw it away one by one by one, whether it's a low buy. And that's the other frustrating thing. When you're on that low buy, that's where we see teams typically stick together, coagulate and push, and that hasn't happened in a lot of these rounds. Last time, we're seeing elements of that. And if they can keep it up 2 rounds in a row from this point, 3 total, it's not that big of a task.
Who's called this hungry hippos?
Mates have grabbed 1.14 ult orbs for every one their opponent grabs this year. It's not that many more, to be honest. It does show they're playing that map a little bit more.
With the amount of
Depending on
rounds, it adds up.
1-4, I mean, that's 10 to 11.
Adds up.
1 extra orb
Play like
for 10, but
few hundred
yeah, sure.
rounds. Yeah, adds up.
If they play,
They're hungry hippos, all
if
right?
it was in the foot
They're
BBL game,
hungry mates.
they just need 1 map. They'll have a huge
I
advantage.
want to know who named that hungry hippos. And I want to know why Kim named it hungry hippos.
Well, it's all been fun and games so far, but Mates on the verge of connecting their map pick with Icebox up next. And this is a map that we expected to be a little back and forth. You referenced the results against Liquid. Rolling Thunder responds very early on from Gentlemates. They've tried to force the issue on that ramp push, but there's no one there. Instead, the push is coming on the other side. A great fake by Movistar Koi. They get space, they drop Kata. Keep going, keep going.
Well, no need for a nice trade. They haven't lost any players yet. There we go. And there's a nice trade. Wonderful stuff. Rubinho,
Nice.
another. Stepping up massively. And well, all they need to do is keep going for 1 more round, and then we will be heading to overtime.
I don't know what his warm-up routine is, but apparently 20 rounds is enough because he has certainly woken up coming into that
Well,
round.
you just go.
An important time.
If he stops using shadow steps, Rubinho's the best player in the server.
That's very true. Yeah, those steps have not been shrouding very much at all. Been left in the open. Once he's in that position, it's a lot better looking. Now Movistar Koi, a team that we questioned them at the half, but they had a burst of rounds that brought them back into it. And now the gap bridge to just 1. A chance to hammer home victory here and now. No big ultimates to bail Gentlemates out of a bad situation either. They used that Rolling Thunder. It was baited out in the previous round beautifully by Movistar Koi. Now they reap the rewards. Gate crash sent down towards the sewers. Filu is going to get aggressive, looking for a pick with this off. His chance given. The shot landed in the other direction.
Leaving him below. Definitely not the start that Movistar Koi were looking for. With Dimensional Drift available, going into the late round, Mates can use that either on the retake or just to get information. Movistar Koi in the last round did well to sell that ruse. Already just selling ideas on either side of the map, sending the fake out through as an attempted fake, and it has somewhat worked. Rotation coming in over onto that A side of the map as they still look pretty committed over on B.
Oh, Mini stopping them in their tracks. OT being contested late into the game. Flya looked like he pulled it back, but Kamek's on site to close it out. Mates will take their map pick. Tooth and nail, but they get there in the end. 13-11 and 1-0. Up next, though, is Icebox. That's Movistar Koi's home ground. We'll see that after the break.